Hello, guys. Welcome to the first interview of 2023 with one of our FTMO traders. And today we're having Danny from Cambridge in the UK.
How you doing? You alright?
Yeah, very much all right, Danny. So,
Good.
by the way, for those of you who don't know, FTMO is a proprietary trading company, and we are looking for responsible traders who can manage our FTMO account with up to $200,000 upon passing our evaluation course. So, we have Danny here. Danny, you've been with us since July 2022. So, you've been with us for not really that long, but let's hear the backstory. Could you give us a little introduction?
Yeah, so I'm Danny. I've been with FTMO for since July. So I did a $100,000 account and passed it around August time. Then I traded for a little bit, and then I think my trading plan got in the way. I unfortunately blew that account. However, took some time out, redeveloped my strategy, and then here we are now in January 2023, trading a fresh new $200,000 account.
Okay, great. Let's just get a bit more deeper into the history, and let's hear how did you really start trading like at all. So for how long have you been trading, and what's your history with forex?
So I originally started trading when, well, it started with investment stuff. So um, I've done it for about 3 years now. So back in 2019, when the whole GME and the GameStop thing
Oh
came
yeah.
around.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the time when I was like, oh, stocks and shares and everything. I was like, oh, I want to make a bit of money. So I made a little tiny bit from it. And then that kind of piqued my interest because I saw on Wall Street Bets and everything that people were like, obviously they were losing a lot of money, but people were making some really good gains. So then I kind of like dived into the application trading. So on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit scared of like I didn't know what analyzing the stock market was properly and the charts and stuff. So I was like kind of like blindly like shorting and longing. Let's just say it didn't go well. Didn't lose a lot of money, but still didn't go well.
Wait, so you started with a life account with the real money right away?
Yeah. So like I think it was because like it didn't feel real to me originally. Like when I first started, it didn't. I was like, no way are people making this. And I think it's really easy to look at something like this straight away and go, it's like gambling. But then you when you get into it and you have a deeper dive into what trading is, you understand there's so much more to it. So that's when I started to have a look around of about how to learn and went onto YouTube, learned a lot of videos, and then I came about a golden goose kind of thing for me, which was a community called the Trading Floor.
Okay.
Um, so it's an educational website that allowed me to just unlock all of my potential, and we have access to a Discord, and without the Discord family, I wouldn't be the trader I am today. We we exchange ideas, and we talk about things going on in the market, and I think without them I wouldn't have been able to properly dive into it. So which brought me, I started to paper trade for a while. So that's when I started to actually like home in on my technical analysis, going on to trading view and playing around and understanding what indicators were and how to read charts and everything. And then I kind of just put everything together and then and I was like, oh, I came across FTMO and I was like, wow, this is an amazing opportunity for me to be able to to know live my life a bit better than I want than it is now. So, which then brings me to today.
Okay, nice. So now I'll come back to the present. And so I've been looking at your FTMO account that where you recently made, I believe it was something over $16,000, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are trading the US 100 or Nasdaq only.
Yeah.
Uh, for how long, is it like this? And before, did you used to trade like other pairs as well, or what really was the development here?
So I originally was trading forex. If you look if back in my $100,000 account, I was trading forex pairs, a few, and then I was trading in indices as well. Um, but then because of I'm so invested in tech, and I like to see what's going on, and the US fascinates me when it comes down to like the development of their companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I fell into a trap when I was first started trading on the account back in July by trading too many pairs. Um, I was diving into this, diving into that, and I was like, and I was just my brain just wasn't picking everything up, and I wasn't able to like my learning curve was like this,
Mm-hmm.
exactly like a chart instead of a steep upwards. Um, so I decided to just home in on one singular thing and learn the behavior and how the market moves. And then I kind of just now it's my thing. I like it. It's I trade New York Open. If I see any potential setups before New York opens in the pre-market, then I'll have a look at those. But yeah, it fits really well in with my day as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to I get to sleep in. I get to have a little bit of a lie-in in the morning, chill out, look at what's going on in the news, have a coffee, and then by the time that happens, I'm able to sit down and have a look at properly of what my play is, how everything's going to pan out, what the news is for the day. So the reason why I went to NAS 100 was purely because it fits really well in my day. And then obviously I started to learn how the behavior was with it.
All right. Okay. Well, this is actually a point that we've had here many times, right? Because when you're new to trading, or pretty much, you could see, okay, well, the more pairs, the more trading, the more trading symbols, that means automatically more opportunities to make money, right? But actually, if you look at it, right, you cannot be a professional football player and a basketball player and a chess master at the same time,
Yeah,
right? You just simply cannot master multiple things if you really want to be good. And well, that goes for trading. If you really want to make the money, if you really want to be successful, then you gotta devote to a single thing and then really master it. So,
100%.
yeah.
100%. It's like, I mean, a really good analogy for it is, you know, if you read, if you're reading one page of if you've got 100 books and you're trying to read all of those 100 books at the same time, when are you going to learn anything? Read one book, chapter to chapter, end to end, and then you'll be able to understand what that book is about.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just there's no point in flooding your brain with a lot of things because it's not going to work out. I have ADHD, so if I have the tendency to run away with a lot of things and trying to do everything at once, and that can't happen with trading. I think if you just focus on one singular thing, then you're going to master it, and then everything else will come with it. Like markets are different, the behaviors are different, but you can see a rhythm and a pattern within different charts. So
Okay. Okay. Very good point. You've mentioned that before you actually, before the US Open, you've got some time to check what's going on, see the news, and so on. Which brings me to the question, are you a fundamental trader? Are news important to you?
so I think that news. I'm not a fundamental trader. However, I think news is a big advantage of discovering where the trend's going to go. So the thing is with myself is that you'll see in some of the trades in a second when we go to them, that I let news play out for a little bit, so I can then go, okay, so this is where good entry points are going to be. Um, because if news goes shoots the price all the way up, it's gonna come back down at some point. So where's the entry? So I don't look at the news and think, oh, okay, if this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. I look at the news of what it's gonna do in terms of the trend.
Okay. And now, before we move on to your strategy and before we check some of your trades, you said that you're a big fan of the tech industry, right?
Yeah.
That the US fascinates you. So did you ever like own a stock of any big tech company?
Yeah, quite a few little bits and bobs of a few different companies. Apple, Tesla, Microsoft is a big one right now. That's moving quite a lot. So yeah, I think the reason again why the reason why I like the Nasdaq is because I like to see what is happening with these tech companies. Tech is the way forward. It's it's improving so much as the years go on. So I think it just fascinates me.
Yeah.
It
Well,
fascinates me.
it's also where the money is, right? If you look at the most valuable companies, you're gonna find a lot of tech companies.
Yeah,
All right.
especially with AI as well. AI is gonna if any like if any AI companies are gonna start doing really well at some point. I mean, with OpenAI, with the Chat GBT,
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it exactly.
yeah, it's so I think tech is it's a good way to obviously if for new traders US 100 I'd just try and stay away from it for a little bit until you've learned how to deal with price action. But it's yeah, it's a good chart to trade.
Yeah, it's actually now I just get an like idea or a thought if maybe in the future now we got the big tech industry. If we're gonna see like a derivative of that industry, like AI industry, right?
Exactly.
So maybe that's something that we're gonna see in the upcoming couple of years or decades. So maybe we got a really big and strong industry forming up. Who knows?
100%, 100%. It's a very exciting time because these collection of companies came from somewhere, right? So somebody said at one point, oh, let's put the top 100 tech companies in the US together and create one big thing. So yeah, AI it could potentially do that.
All right, cool. So, well, thank you for that. And now I think we have a good time to go and see how you trade. Alrighty, so here we have what seems to be a US 100, your favorite asset to trade, and you prepared a couple of trades that you did on your recent FTMO account.
Yeah.
How much did these trades make you, by the way, just roughly?
So one of them was 7,446, and the other one was 5,509. I think the figures are a little bit like on TradingView because I can't get the exact stop loss.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a couple of dollars short on each one, but I tried to get them as accurate as possible because I normally clear like my TradingView when I'm moving forward into the day. So
Okay, so I can see that we have here a couple of simple indicators. So yeah, let's see how you do it.
cool. So like we were talking about when it comes down to the fundamental side of things, we can see here is the open of New York. So what I was doing is when I was just monitoring everything just before. So I probably wake up around let's say I woke up at 9:30 that day. Um, I would just see what the overall the trend is, and as we can see, it's quite a large consolidation around here, just up until New York was just about to open. So then what I did was even prior to that, you can see that don't pay no attention to that. I've only got the basic package, but normally I trade on the 1 minute. We're about to do it on the 3 minute because the 1 minute won't go back. But you can see here that I have these purple lines, and these are my psychological price levels.
Mm-hmm.
So these are price levels that that the prices hit prior to this, or new psychological price levels that have recently been hit. And that actually kind of lined up perfectly with the consolidation and the congestion around here that was being used as support and resistance. So then I waited until the New York opened, and then we can see that it took a pretty big dip. But what I wanted to do is that because I saw that it was going around the price, the psychological price level, I wanted to see what was going on. I did enter this one just before the psychological price level. I would dive into a bit more because it would show a bit more. However, I can't get the 1 minute up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I dived in, and it was kind of a confirmation for me that it went below my psychological price level. So it rejected all the way off, came back, came back up, and you'll see that I've got another trade just here. So what I was doing is I was seeing if it was going to test this psychological price level again, so it can make another leg down. As soon as it gave me that confirmation, one of my confluences as well is because I'm a very active trader, so I'm not one of those type of traders that um, enters the trade and then walks away. I like to sit in front of
Mm-hmm.
my computer and see what's going on, especially because I trade on the 1 minute, so it's quite scalp. It's very scalp trading kind of way. So we have a three-line strike. So for this one in particular, you can see that here. So three-line strike is three of the same candle, and then one engulfing candle, and that can work on any way. So if you've got, see if we can find it. Yeah, we've got one here, right? So we've got three candles here, bearish candles, and then one engulfing candle, which would indicate that be a good trade to get up. Now, if you might have got stopped out if you had like a smaller stop here, but then you would have seen that it would have gone up to a good risk to reward. But that wouldn't have been a trade that I would have gone into.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can see that it was a three-line strike. So then I was waiting for a confirmation that it was still going to continue down. And as you can see right there, that's when I got in, just around there actually. Let's just move this over. It was over here.
Okay.
So yeah, so then what I was doing is I normally have, so I'll open my indicators up now. We've got smart money concepts indicator. It's absolutely incredible for it to it tells you if there's breaker structures, change of characters, order blocks, equilibriums, and they kind of like they print while the market's going on. That's why I don't see any at the moment. But so because I'm quite an active trader, those order blocks would have been showing up if there is any, and I would have been able to see if it was tapping into an order block or ejecting. Yeah, and then if you can see just down here, I've got the ultimate oscillator. So this is another thing that I use for a confluence, just to see if the trade's going to go in my direction. So if there's any hidden divergences or divergences. So as you can see right here, so I would have probably, when it got down to here, I think I was watching a movie at the time. So I kind of like didn't check the charts because it was so far in my favor. And then I think just around here is when I was like, okay, cool, what's happening? So at this point, I did actually see a divergence. So it would have been this right here. So you can see that you've got a divergence here, which is going up on the charts. However, on the UO, you have a divergence going down. which indicates that we are making well, potentially making another leg down, which then it did,
Mm-hmm.
and then it hit my take profits. So that's kind of my way of looking at things, is that I use the New York Open to see what the overall trend is going to be. If it's reacting off any of my psychological price levels or previous forms of congestion prior to then, um, and then making a trade off that basis, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I mean, another thing is what I like to do is while all of these trades are happening, because we are trading the US 100, it's not a singular entity. It's made up of different stocks. So I actually have um, Microsoft and Apple just down at the bottom. And the reason why I've got those is because Microsoft and Apple have at the moment have the largest percentage of the US 100,
Mm-hmm.
which means that if Microsoft and Apple are making significant highs or significant lows, it then means that it kind of controls the Nasdaq
Yeah, you better
more.
watch out.
Yeah, so, and which is why like the smart money concepts is really good, is a really good indicator to have, because when I'm switching between those, if I haven't got an order block and it's showing on my chart on the NAS 100, I then can check on Microsoft or Apple to see if what's happening. There's been a few times where you know I haven't realized, I haven't understood why the market wasn't moving on the NAS 100, and then I checked the Apple or Microsoft, and it shows that it's actually tapping into an order block, and rejecting. So I think using other things just to give you extra confluences can make that trade just a bit more um happier for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
instead of going in blind.
Yeah, it gives you more
Uh,
confidence.
yeah, 100%. So I mean, I think if you're going off based off fundamentals, then you that's to me that's betting, and you don't want to bet, you want to analyze and predict um
Okay.
in, in a technical way. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. I have one more over here, which was not long ago. um that was a good one. That was it. We'll see there that the price, oh, actually, yeah, there we go. So this was at 2:30. Where are we? 2:30 right here. Market made a massive move up, and when there's a breath up, there's going to be a breath down. And conveniently, what happened is that order block, not order block, sorry, that zone that I drew out prior, I extended, and it shows that there was a lot of liquidity here to be grabbed. So that's when I was like, cool, well, I'm going to put my stop just above the previous high, enter on a confirmation candle that it's going to go down. Right here is the VWAP, so that's the center of the VWAP. So it's just tapping off that, and then I entered that trade, just entered that short trade, and
Yeah.
it panned out.
Went very well, I can see. Accurate
Yeah.
entry and the exit as well. Now,
Yeah.
you were mentioning the oscillator, so I bet we have a lot of viewers who haven't really much hands-on experience on these oscillators or
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
advisors. So could you maybe break down a little how exactly do your confluences work with these oscillators?
Yeah. Sure. So I mean, so the UO is kind of, I mean, if anybody's used an RSI or a stock or the stock RSI, then you'll kind of know what I mean. But if you don't, then so this is kind of like it's the flow of money, really. And some people will say like buy high, and if it's over a certain point, then sell, and then, but it shouldn't be used for that. It should be used to just a gauge of what's happening in the market. So the reason why I say this is a divergence is because you can see here that we are making higher highs. However, you're seeing here that the flow of money is not, it's a high here, but it's now making a lower high. So to find these, you've got to familiar yourself with them a little bit and just see if you can, go. I'd say maybe just go through, like, go if you've got the replay option and go all the way back, or see if you can spot some. And originally, it was hard for me to spot them, but then it becomes a little bit easier to find them.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
but I'm very short bias, so I don't know why, but my brain for some reason um resonates more with short trades.
Oh yeah, that's actually true because when I was looking at your FTMO account, I noticed that your shorts, that first of all you had many more shorts compared
Yeah,
to long positions, and also your shorts were more profitable
yeah.
than the buy positions, which is also pretty. Sometimes this is not actually as uncommon as you may think, or as the viewers may think, because we've had this with multiple FTMO traders, and where you can actually see that either their longs or the short were significantly more profitable
Mm,
than the other one.
mm.
Okay. Now regarding the risk and the risk calculation. So do you always, I assume you always stick to a highly positive risk reward ratio, right?
Yeah. So my risk to rewards. So I'm actually really fortunate because with my the trading floor membership that I mentioned earlier, um, they've actually developed like a really good risk calculator, which is implemented onto my MetaTrader 4. So no matter what, my stops, my risk to reward, I can get that up if you want, on MT4 if you like.
No, it's fine. We can stay in
Okay.
trading view.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my risk to reward is I try and go for a one to. What I normally do is that as soon as my my risk to reward has come to a 1-to-1, I bring my stop loss down to break even.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes a free trade.
Yeah.
As soon as I get a 1-to-2, then I bring it down, then trail it back down. Then that trade has become, you know, you're making money now. So even if you do get stopped out, you've made at least a little bit. So that's kind of my way of approaching things. To be honest, is that trail your stop and take profits, because sometimes they're not gonna all your trades are not gonna pan out the way you want to. And I'm a very firm believer in, you don't have to let your trades run all the way to your take profit before you
Mm-hmm.
take profit. Because originally, if you look at these trades here, that um if you when we actually see it on my account, my take profit was, for this one, was all the way down here. So that was my ultimate goal, just so I can see how much money it could generate. So, but when it comes to it, I didn't let it run all the way down. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had let this trade run out all the way, yes, it would have hit my take profit, and it would have been a lot larger return. But you know, if I did that, I would have had to let that trade run overnight while I was asleep, and I can't monitor it properly. So by the time I closed everything out, it was 7 o'clock at night for me. So I was ready to spend time with my partner. I was ready to have some food and just to chill out. So I think if you want to take your profits, and then obviously do your technical analysis, but don't be afraid to to take your profits early if you want to.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's all about fighting the greed, right? I think we've all been in a situation where we,
100%.
close the trade and then say, "Oh my God, if I would have, kept it open, it would have gone in my favor and I would have been so much richer." But,
Yeah.
obviously this approach works for you.
Yeah.
So, and keeping the trade open over the night where, there's a million things that can happen. And
Yeah.
also psychologically, it would have been much more demanding, for you to keep the trade running for longer than you're really used to.
Exactly.
Then I actually agree that, it's
Yeah.
really worth it. You don't always have to go for 100 pips or something like it. If you
Exactly, exactly. I mean, just think of if you're letting a trade run overnight, then fair enough. If you're swing trading, fair enough. Or you're massively in profit and you've done your technical analysis to the point where you're like, yeah, okay, I actually I have a really good feeling that this is going to go that way. But trading, you can't base everything off feelings. You know, it's a very unfortunately it's a very you have to it's a very emotionless thing to get into. That can be a double-edged sword sometimes because you can get emotional from your trading. But I think if I was letting that run overnight, I'd be tempted to just check my phone every now and again to see if I've been stopped out, or I don't know if I'll be able to sleep. So yeah, you just got to do what's good for your mental health as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that also brings us to the last point that I would like to touch upon,
Mhm.
and that is something we didn't discuss yet, which is psychology. So, always when I talk to our FTMO traders who have some experience, have been trading for a couple of years, everybody's gonna tell you that the psychology first is really demanding, to master it, and secondly that there really is a big development in the psychology, when you start compared to where you're now. So could you tell us how did your psychology change, if it did, and then are there is there any room for improvement?
Yeah, I'm 100% all the time. I mean, I think, you know, if you think you've mastered your psychology, then, you haven't mastered it because, there's going to be a day where like I think today, like I'm going to be completely honest. I know I'm on an interview, but I've had a losing trade today. Where after the trade lost, I stood up and I was like, "Danny, come on. Like, you could have done this or you could have done this." But when you're telling yourself stuff like that and you're like, I could have done this better, I could have done this better. That's where journaling comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is why it's so important to keep a journal because that's how your psychology gets better. Because you're not going to remember everything that you were feeling, in a few days' time or a few weeks' time. But if you can revisit that and see how you were, if say for instance, you did really bad one week, and then 2 weeks later you've done really good, you know, and then another 2 weeks later you've done really bad, you can then revisit what you need to learn from. But I think the main thing for me is trying to desensitize myself from money.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm going to use the saying again. It is a double-edged sword because if you desensitize yourself to money, it's just digits on a screen instead of thinking of what you could buy with that money. Um, again, it can be a double-edged sword with you over risking. But I think for me, my my concept of money now is kind of is down the drain because I just see numbers now. And um, but I think to an extent, try and desensitize yourself from money a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. Um, yeah,
Yeah, saying it's a double-edged sword. That's very accurate because on one hand, if you just see the money too much, you get so excited about it, and if you make we all remember when we made our first profitable trades. You make like, I don't know, like a couple $100, and you're
yeah.
like all exciting, like, oh my God, yeah,
Hearts going,
I
like
just made
blood
all this money
sweating.
just by clicking on a computer. On the other hand, when you lose, the money for the first time, you feel like really, really bad, because you
Yeah.
exactly, you just see that you could have bought, like, you could have paid your rent, you could have buy this, buy that, and that. So you really get emotionally attached to it, which of
Yeah.
course is not a good thing. On the other hand, from my point of view, if you really just see like nothing but just the numbers, if you really stop caring about it, then what might happen is that you start losing a couple of trades, and it you don't really get the bad emotions that you really should get. I mean, of course, you shouldn't be all destroyed about losing a trade, but still
Mm.
it should serve as a negative experience. And it should give you it should initiate you to say, okay, I did something which didn't go well. I feel bad about it. What am I gonna do in order to
Yeah.
prevent it in the future, right? And if you just see the
100%.
numbers, then you could just stop caring, right? Okay, well, we got a less numbers here now. Okay, not a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why you sort of gotta stay in the middle, not get too excited, too emotional about the money, but also you still gotta understand that you want to be profitable, right? And
Yeah.
and you really, it's not just numbers at the end of the day.
I think money is it's a different type of emotion. Like I know it sounds weird, but I don't know, like wars have been fought over money. Like, fight like and it's I think if you can just get away from that for just for the time being and not think to yourself, like if you're trading for the purpose, if that trade for you is like, oh, this trade is going to be for me to buy a car, or this trade is going to for me to pay my rent, like you're doing it all wrong. Like you need to just sit down, do your job, stand up and go and pat yourself on the back. Even if you haven't done well that day, pat yourself on the back for standing up and just doing your day well. Like end of the day, this career choice it's not an easy one to do. Like and the fact that you are doing it is incredible. A challenge, a live account, your own account. Like I think you just need to understand like what kind of things you're doing for yourself by trading. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you know, to sit down in front of a chart and learn all of these things. Learn how to use indicators, price action, psychological price levels, everything, economic news. To do something like that takes a special kind of mind, and not everyone can do it. And I think you just need to give yourself a little bit more credit. Like even if you lose a trade, fair enough. Stand up, go and have a cup of tea, or if whatever a glass of water, and then speak to your partner or call a friend and just have a good support network around you as well. Even if you're working a 9 to 5 job, when you come back and if you've had a bad day, you tell someone, "Oh, I've had a bad day." You know, it's exactly the same with trading. If you've had a bad day, speak about it. Don't bottle it all up. That's and it's the key. Like trading psychology is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So help your mental health. Like reach out to people, understand why you did what you did, and yeah, just grow from it. Because I'm a completely different person from trading now. Not only has it changed my life financially, but it's changed my mind in a way that I think I'm more patient. Um,
Okay.
but also on the flip side, I'm more impatient. So and I think the biggest for me, the reason why my trading psychology and my mental health is so good when it comes to losing or winning is down to my community. The trading floor is such a nice open environment to the point where if I need to, we've got a whole room dedicated to trading psychology, talking about your mental health and how to stay calm and what you need to do. And I think we just surrounding yourself with a good support network is the key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, after all, it's no coincidence that in like the big hedge funds, investment banks, they employ a lot of psychologists and mentors and coaches and so on, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, let's face it, trading is psychologically very demanding. You,
Hmm.
you can never get completely rid of emotions, right? And if you're managing some really big account, some a lot of money, you go through so much pressure that, if you had no one, to talk about it to, if you had nobody, who could understand you, then
Yeah.
I don't think you could do it for very long, to be honest.
No. No. I think yeah, I think that's, and in the background as well, I've got a YouTube channel that I personally watch, and they're live trading while I'm doing my trades, so it's nice to have voices on the background of
Hmm.
people who are in an actual trading floor, doing the same job as you, um, so just, yeah, if you're trading at home, then try and mimic the environment as if you were at work. But the only difference is that you can wake up whenever you want and have a coffee whenever you want.
Yeah, those are some nice benefits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alrighty. So, well, thank you for demonstrating your recent traits. And now let's get to the final part and discuss your future. Alright, and here in the final part, we're just gonna discuss Danny's plans for the future. So, Danny, I know that you mentioned that you trade in the afternoon when the US opens up. So we didn't actually know if you work in a regular job as well, or if you are just a trader. So how is it, and what are the plans for the future?
So future plans are to trade full time. I currently work a full time job at the moment. Um, but my main career is I've trained in musical theatre for my whole life. So I'm
Okay.
a singer, dancer, actor. I've done that since I was a little kid. Um, so my plans are to become a full time trader. However, the reason why I wanna trade is to be able to give myself my time back.
Uh-huh.
Working a 9 to 5 job every single day is difficult for myself, because to be a performer, you have to consistently, top up your skills. Go to class. I have to travel to London to go to dance class and singing lessons to be able to get me better at what I do, and go to auditions. So the reason why I wanted to trade is to give them my time back, to work potentially work 2 hours a day and
Mm-hmm.
earn what I need to earn, and that can fund my passion, fund what I really want to do in life. So um, eventually, I want to get to the big 400K, which would be amazing. Currently doing that challenge at the moment, alongside my 200K, the 200K challenge. So hopefully that all goes to plan. Um, yeah, and that's kind of my plans for the future. To be honest, is
Mm-hmm.
to give myself financial freedom, to provide a legacy for my future family.
Okay.
Um, so for grandchildren and future grandchildren that I may not meet, or I will never meet. But if I can be that first person in my family to create a legacy, to provide generational wealth that I can pass down and make sure that my future family, my future bloodline is secure,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what I'm working towards, to keep my family name alive, and just to help people further down the line, because I think if everyone can resonate with me, if they had someone like yourself who wants to do the same thing as me, do that for them, and you've just walked into a comfortable life where you can afford to do the things that you want to do, give your family the things that they want, they deserve, then that's amazing. That's an amazing thing to do. So that's my overall plan for the future, is to build wealth so I can pass it down, to my future generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, and in the end, it's I guess it's not only about the financial wealth, right? I mean, if now we're talking about a family, if you have somebody in your family like your kids or grandkids, and you can actually be the one who they can look up to, and be a role model for them, and who they can really, yeah, as I mentioned, look up to. That is also a very very, I would say, tough target to reach, but definitely a target that is worth chasing.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't try, it's not gonna. Then you never know what could happen. The things that if you don't do something, then in it, that's the thing that's going to stick in the back of your mind of what, what if I did that? So instead of getting to the point where it's a what if, try and do it, and then at least you can say that you tried. So yeah, that's the main thing for me, to be honest.
Okay. Now, regarding trading, are you planning to stick the trading as you do it now, which means trading CFDs, or are you maybe looking into some other spheres of trading as well, some options or futures, something like that?
Futures is definitely something that I want to dive into, because it's a raw market, right? So, you're not trading contracts for difference. You're there in the moment. You're within the action. So, if the price is going down, you can contribute to the price going down or up. So, options are something I haven't really thought about, but again, they're getting more popular. So I think further down the line, I'd love to be able to expand my knowledge into options. But right now, I think I'm enjoying analyzing US 100 and making sure that I know it in and out. So yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I think options specifically they have a bad reputation, right? Because
Mm,
everybody immediately thinks of binary options, but of
yeah.
course, that's not all of it. When we talk about like trading and the financial market, really, the forex and the CFDs are really the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more you can explore.
Oh,
So yeah, if for me personally, I think if you're really being serious with dedicating your professional life to financial markets, you shouldn't limit yourself only to knowing about CFDs and forex. Of course, you do not need to do everything, but it is good to be educated and to know,
yeah.
how everything works.
100%. I mean, if you're in a trade and that trade for you is going to run over a couple of hours, what's stopping you from just going onto YouTube and learning a bit more about options and futures? And so yeah, yeah, it's educate yourself. You don't need to trade them straight away. You've got time.
Mm-hmm.
You've got time, just like you do when you're paper trading. You're learning things. So
Yeah, okay. Now, there's probably a lot of people who are now at the beginning of their trading career. Maybe they're thinking of starting their FTMO challenge. So, what would be your advice to the people who, are at the beginning and are considering to, starting trading with FTMO or are considering to step into the world of trading in general?
I'd say that having a solid strategy, and this is probably like something that's gonna come up. It's already come up on a lot of previous interviews of people saying having a solid strategy.
I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it's truth, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, and I I put off for a while. I mean, is it? I lost my $100,000 account originally because I didn't have a solid strategy. So and then that's when it just clicked, and I was like, all right, I need to get it sorted. So I think having the time, putting the time aside to develop everything that you need to develop, and it doesn't have to be really complicated. It doesn't have to be flooded with indicators. You've seen part of my strategy is it's not actually that difficult. It's quite simple. I've got confluences that fit in with each other. As soon as that's met, enter your trade. But yeah, have a good trading plan, and make sure that this is good when you're sitting down at your desk. Because if you've had a bad day, or you know you've had an argument with your partner, or there's a grievance in the family, whatever, don't sit down at the desk. If you're having a bad mental health day, don't sit down. You wouldn't go into work if you're really ill. So if you're having a bad head day, don't sit down at your desk and don't trade. Take the day off, relax, do what you need to do, then refocus and get back to it the next day, the next week, or whatever.
All right, good. Okay, Danny. Well, It's been a real pleasure to have you here. I think we went through some really, really cool topics, and I think there's a plenty of knowledge left in this interview. So before we say goodbye, do you have any last words? Anything you wanna shout out there to the people?
I would say if you've got a passion, then trading is the way forward to be able to unlock your potential to financial freedom. And FTMO is a great supplier of being able to give these people opportunities to do that. So if you've got that burning passion inside yourself to do something, and it's been something that you've always wanted to do, learn how to trade, and then move forward with it. Create yourself your financial freedom.
And that's FTMO.
FTMO baby.